Hey guys, just for your information at home and for Rob and Tom and everybody, the pilots just let me know that we can come up to about 100 meters or so. At these depths, the vehicle gets quite warm, and so they're going to have to recover at some point here. So we'll get up to about 100 meters, so about 12 more meters, and then we will, that's about as high as we can go.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. And our pilots, Ben, Russell and Chris, done a fantastic job. This has been a really great training. It's the first time we've come so far up into the water column. It's really been amazingly beautiful to watch. So I appreciate you've gone to their effort to get us up into these steps.
Russ says, no problem, you can buy him a beer when we can go on land. Chris drank whiskey.
Sorry, in the screen here.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
There's a coral, I think we've just gone above it, so just below these fans in the zoom screen.
Tom was looking at a coral just below the fans.
Go back down.
Is it like a light pink color?
Yeah, there it is. Okay,
yep.
So it's brown, so zoom in.
Like that up there.
And then to the see it now in the bottom left, it's light brown with some dark brown mottling colour.
That one.
The one, excellent. Cool, so that looks, I'll have a look on the big screen in a minute, but probably one of these Leptoceras, so that's interesting. That's probably at least the deepest coral I've seen here. Yep, Leptoceras. Excellent. I mean, that's the sort of coral we'd expect to see here. So, yeah. Oh, I wish we could collect it.
And I'll just throw in a few bits for the algae. That round ball there, that's Valonia ventricosa. It's a sailor's eyeball. And there was some living halimeda too. That was really good to see. That's a green algae. It sort of forms these fronds. And when they're calcareous, when they die, they break off and form these sort of cornflake-sized flakes, which just form part of the sediment too. So it was great. If you could do a sort of one more close view, I know we're getting to the end of the dive, but if you could just zoom in a little bit closer to the substrate, there's quite a lot of detail close in. It'd be good to just have one more look at that before we call quits on the dive. Thank you. Yeah, so lots of algae coming in. Just they're still very bright here. There we go. Thank you. Okay, we can just scan up. Okay, so it's a real mix of soft corals, sponges, those white flakes that's kind of sitting there, probably almost like fingernail size. Most of that is algae, halimeda algae, and it forms these sort of fronds, maybe 10 centimeters off the seafloor when they're live. They're green, and when they die, they break up, and that's what most of the sediment is that we're looking at now. This is halimeda. And there's some living halimeda. This is the green, just on the left-hand side, sort of waving in the breeze there. And yeah, so they're a big part of the substrate here. The living substrate is this green algae. And we have a big expedition coming up in the Great Barrier Reef, hopefully in the next year, to go and study these. They make these great big piles, sort of almost deep-like reefs, just built up. They're called bioherns. It's a geological term for reef-like structure that's not made of coral. So just to repeat, this is algae.
There's certainly a huge amount of life here. You see looks like some benthic forams as well down there. Foraminifera, meter. But yeah, look, and a lot of this is probably attributable to this current. It is interesting that we're seeing so much current in this particular spot. Yeah, especially with all these gorgonians and all these filter feeders here in this community. I guess this is what you'd expect to some degree. You expect to see a
Do
lot
you
of...
remember that paper we wrote together, looking at the deepest corals, and we talked about like these big sort of like fronds of halimeda hanging down around 120 meters. That was up at Holmes Reef, but we're seeing the same thing here at Flinders Reef. So this seems to be a fairly typical pattern in the Coral Sea Marine Park. So these long vertical transects are very, very useful for us.
Absolutely, some beautiful big gorgonians on the edges of the walls here, and ending up with soft corals. Oh, there's some interesting fish. For people that love fish, a little bit.
Hi everybody, I think we just lost our scientists. I'm just going to try to get